What if you could query your SQL database directly from Excel using a simple form that lets you filter by year, category, and status with just a few clicks? In this tutorial, I'll show you how to build that tool from scratch, starting with a Python script that generates the data as a clean CSV file. You'll learn how to import the data into SQL Server and then build the styled Excel user form that lets you run live SQL queries using multi-select list boxes, no drop-downs, no manual filtering. This is a clean, reusable automation that replaces hours of manual data prep, and it gives you the total control over the filters you apply. Let's build it step by step. To set up this SQL user form, we will need a CSV file and upload it to our SQL database. I have two files, link in the description, and you can either just get the CSV file from a link and then go to the step where we import it into the SQL database, or you can use the Python script where we generate the CSV file. So you also learn a little bit of Python. The important thing is that we have the same CSV file that we can go to the next step and import it into this SQL database so we can set up the SQL user form. You have downloaded the Python script. There's also a link to the CSV file, so if you want to skip this step, you can just use the CSV file. That's the file we're going to use for this tutorial. But I thought, why don't I just show you a little bit Python as well? We have our Python script here where we import CSV and import random, and from datetime import datetime and time delta. And we're going to create a mock data source that we're going to use in our SQL database. I don't want to go too much in depth with this Python script. Besides, it's generating 1000 rows from row 1 to 1001, where we have the headers in the first row. So 1000 data sets we're going to use. And you're going to put categories and numbers, ID, date, category, amount, status, and so on. And we're going to run this Python script now in Anaconda prompt. You can also use a normal prompt. And this Python script generate this CSV file. So you can either do this with this Python script. If you're new to Python, then you run your first Python script. Or you can simply just use the CSV file you can also download from my folder. Link in the description. If we open up Anaconda prompts, then we need to direct it to this folder. And we're going to do that by writing cd and then the folder. I've created here in just a folder on my desktop. So that's how we're going to go to that folder, and then we're going to write Python create CSV .py run mock data CSV created successfully. And here we have it. Here when we open it, we have the CSV file here. Let's just open it and have a look. So this is the data we're going to use for this SQL user form training. To get the CSV file into our SQL database, you will right click here under databases, click on new database, and then we generate a new database, call it mock DB. Click OK. And here we have the mock database. Now we right click on the database and go to tasks, import data, and choose import flat file. Then we click next, and location of the file to be imported. Then you browse and find your CSV file here, either the one we generated with Python or the one you downloaded from my drive. Link in the description. The mock data, and then we click on next. Now we have our table here, a preview over our data with the ID, date, category, amount, and status. And we can just take a look how it looks, and it looks good, so we click on next. And we can just click on our primary key as our ID. And click next. finish, and close. So here we have it, our mock database with our table, and we have it here, database mock data. All right, so far so good. If you have been following along to this point, you are now ready to build the SQL user form. And if you're following the steps here, it will also work for you. And we can start running a test here, making a new query. And then we can just select everything, select star from mock database, mockdb.dbo.mock data, execute. And here we have all the data we just imported from the CSV file. And the cool thing we're going to build from here is the SQL user form, where we don't have to write an SQL query every time, and we can filter out from year, category, and status. And we're going to get into that right now. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you want to learn how to automate your task. I post on TikTok multiple times a day, and it's a good way to get in touch with me if you have any questions. All right, let's start by creating the sheets down here. So we got that handled. We need 3 sheets. A start, where we have the bottom that opens the user form. Then we'll have a setting tab or sheet, and a data sheet. This is where the SQL data gets into. Here we're gonna set some things that's gonna handle in the user form. Let's start with the setting sheet here. You can just pause the video and copy it in yourself. It's just year, category, status. And you can use the toolkit template with the Python code that generates a CSV file that we uploaded into the SQL database in a previous step, or the CSV file that's also included. Then we just need the headers here. That's it. Then we go to Visual Basic, Alt F11. We're going to insert a user form, and we're going to set the size to 460 in width and 460 also in height. And then let's start by setting the user form name. So the caption could be SQL powered Excel automation. And you see it changes here up in the header. Then maybe we just call it SQL form here. And let's just create a module to open it up right away. Sub open form SQL form.show. Paste this down. And then let's go to the Start tab and create a shape, just so we can open the form very easy. Call that open form. Something like this. Assign macro. And now it opens up. Then let's set the variables. Let's start with the labels. This one is called select year. And over here we have what we actually have selected. So we can call that selected year. Then we have the section with select category. Select that category. And the last section
select status, and select the status. Then we need 6 list boxes. One here, and one here, and one here, and one here. And then we can just highlight all these and align left so they are like aligned next to each other. And the same with this, align to the left. And then the idea is that we have some bottoms in the middle. We call that add. And remove. Let's move this up a little bit. And then we have the import data button. Let's make it a little bit bigger. This button that imports the SQL data when you have set our settings here, which year, which category, and which status. Adding and removing from all these lists, and then you import and it writes the data to the sheet. Let's style the bottoms here by adding this to all the add buttons and this to the remove buttons. And now let's name some of the labels here. This one is called LST year all, and this one is just called LST year selected. And then this button is called btn year underscore add. And the remove button btn year underscore removed. Then we have the next section, category. That list box is called LST category underscore all. And this one is called LST category underscore selected. Then we have the add button here, btn category underscore add. And the same here, but underscore removed. Then we have the status list box that we'll call LST status underscore all. And this one LST status underscore selected. Then we have the add button here. And we have the remove button here, btn status underscore removed, btn status underscore add. And then the final import data, call that btn query. And that's it. All right, then let's write the first code to set the UserForm initialize. Double click on the form, and then we're on the UserForm, but we need to go to initialize. Then we can get rid of this, and then we're going to write the following code. Call style form GUI. And since this module is calling a style form UI module we haven't even coded yet, I will comment that out because that's the next module we're going to look at. So we're going to set the user form initialize this code first, and then we'll jump into this styling submodule. Moving on, me.startup position equal 0 for manual positioning. And then we're going to center the form inside the Excel window. We're going to do a me.left equal application dot left plus application dot width minus me dot width divided by 2. Copy paste it and change some variables here. Here we need to write dot top dot height dot height. That's it. And then let's set the height and width again in the code. Height equal 460 and width 460. And then we're going to load filter option from setting sheet column A, B, and C. So in the settings sheet, we have 3 list box. We're going to load it from this data sheet. We're going to call load list from settings A, comma, LST year all. Copy paste it because we're just going to change to column B, column C, and this will be list box category all and list box status all. We also need to comment that out because we haven't coded this module either. Now we're going to move on to the style form GUI submodule. Let's do 3 adjustments. Perform 3 small adjustments. I can see in my code I have labeled this LBL year and labeled this LBL category and label this LBL status. The rest is just labeled 1, 2, 3. It really doesn't matter about the labels because we're just gonna use them and set the font color and font type. Double tap here, and then we're gonna write the following submodule: private sub style form GUI. And we're gonna write the following: me.backcolor equal RAB 30, 30, 30 to set the background color black. And we can call this now just so you see that it's working and run the form. And now the background is black. And now we're going to set the labels to background black and with white font. Then we're just going to write me caption equal SQL powered Excel automation, just as we said in the font, but now you're also learning how to program it. Then we're going to do our first label with a with statement. With LBL year dot for color equal RAB 255, 255, 255. And with, we're gonna have more here. We're gonna also do dot back color equal RAB 30, 30, 30, just like the background. So you can see here, the first label is now black background and white. Then we're gonna do a dot font dot name equal Sergio Bui, and do a dot font size equal 10 dot font dot bold equal true, and do a dot back style equal FM back style overcool. And now let's speed it up to do it with all the labels. It's the same procedure. I'm gonna show this on the screen, but speed it up. So now we got all the labels handled. Moving on. Then I'm gonna style the list box for each CTRL in me.control. If type name CTRL equal list box, then with CTRL dot back color equal RAB 240, 240, 240. Dot font dot name equal Sergio Bui, dot font dot size equal 10. End with, and if next CTRL. Then we're going to style a button for each CTRL in me.controls. If type name CTRL equal command button, then with CTRL dot back color equal if CTRL dot name equal btn query, comma RGB 0, comma 120, comma 215, else GIB 60, comma 60, comma 60. And we're missing a parenthesis here. What this basically means is We're going to set the back color. If you find the type name as a command button, the back color will be, if it's a name with btn query, it's blue, otherwise black. That's what that means. Then we're going to do a dot for color, set that equal VBA white dot font dot name equal Sergio UI dot font dot size equal 10 dot font dot bold equal true, end with, and if next control, next CTRL. We're almost done with this module. Then we're going to do a lst year / all dot integral height equal false. Let's copy paste this down. And this is the year selected. And then we have the category. Let me speed this up. That's it. We're just going to write a big B here. Now it should be working. We can test it by opening the form here. And it seems to be looking good. We can still move things around, but the color and the layout is good. Let's move on. Now we need to code these load list from settings. Let's go back here at the bottom of your code inside your form and write private sub load list from settings COL letter as string, comma target list as ms forms.listbox, and write dim ws as worksheet, dim last row as long, comma I as long, set ws equal this workbook dot sheets, settings, last row equal ws dot cells, ws dot rows dot count, comma col letter dot end xl up dot row, and let's check if last row is going to change here. It changed it to big capital row. For I equal 2 to last row, if ws dot cells I, comma col letter dot value is not equal blank, then target list dot add item ws dot cells I, comma col letter dot value, and if and next I. Before testing, we need to comment this out. So now it should be working. Now test it out. And you can see here, it has all the years from the settings and all the categories and open and closed. So it seems to be working. We can go to the setting tab and write 2017 also, and just write 2 tests here, just to see if it updates the list box. Now it goes to 17, and there's 2 tests here. So now you can see the list box works. Let's remove the 17 and the 2 tests. All right, let's code the add and remove buttons here in each section. And for that, we double tap here. Let's go to the bottom. All right, we need another submodule in the form. Private function is in list. That will check if it's in the list. LST as Microsoft Forms .listbox, comma, item as string, as boolean. I as long, for I equals 0 to lst.list count -1. If lst.list I equal item, then is in list equal true, exit function. And if next I is in list equal false. Before coding the buttons, we need to write the move section and remove section. So we're going to write 2 private modules here. Private sub move selected items, src list as ms forms listbox, comma, tgt list as ms forms .listbox, capital letter here, I as long, or I equals 0 to src list .list count -1. If src lists .selected I, then if not is in list tgt list, comma, src list .list I, then tgt list .add item src list .list I, and if next I. All right, the remove section, private sub remove selected items ms forms .listbox, I as long, for I equal lst.listCount -1 to 0 step -1. If lst.selected I, then lst remove item I, next I. All right, then we're ready to code the add button. Double click here. And then we're gonna write move selected items lst year underscore all, comma lst year selected, and then we're gonna clear selection. dmi as long for I equals 0 to lst year underscore all dot list count -1 lst year underscore all dot selected equal false. Next I. Let's test it. All right, let's also set the list box here with multi-select extended. Let's do that for all of them. So you can multi-select items. Let's run a quick test here. Extended, extended, yeah. So now you can do this. And you can also remove everything. But we haven't coded the button yet. All right, we have coded the move button here. Don't get confused, I just moved these sections around. I like it more this because we're building the user form. So let's go and double tap on the remove button. Now we're gonna code that, and we're gonna do that with just one line. Remove selected item in lst year slash selected. Let's test it. Add and remove. You can also add and remove just one, and it seems to be working. Let's speed this up for this next section because this is a long tutorial, but let's speed it up where we can. These sections are the same. I'll show everything on the screen so you can pause it, but it's the same logic. Let's copy paste this. And then change this to category. 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 And category. Let's go to the next add button and replace year with status. 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 And the same with remove. We can use this line. Remove. Category. Status. And let's run a test. This we already tested. it seems to be working. Pretty cool. Now we made the design, we coded the list box to have dynamic values from a setting sheet. We coded all the buttons except the import data. Now we're gonna code the import data that draws data from the SQL database we set up in the beginning. Very cool stuff. Follow along till the end of this video. But before we make the VBA helper function to create a SQL query inside our VBA UserForm, I want to show you what it actually does. Let's say we have the year 21, 22, 23, and we have finance, HR, open and close. This is a query that the VBA button inside our form is going to generate. That's the output we're going to get in the Excel sheet. That's the idea, just so you understand that the helper function we're going to create now is going to generate this SQL query. I mean, not this SQL query, but whatever we put in the user form from the list box selections. Let's move on to that. To generate the SQL query inside the user form from our selection we have selected from our list box. Private function built in class lst as Microsoft Forms, the list box as string, dim s as string, I as long. For I equals 0 to lst.listCount minus 1, s equal s and this sign, and lst.list I and this sign and comma, next I, if ln s is greater than 0, then build in class equal parentheses and left s comma length s minus 1 and end in parentheses. Then we're gonna dim CON as object and RS as object. Then we're gonna dim SQL as string, where a class as string. I'm gonna dim year filter as string, cat filter, category filter as string, status filter as string. Dim I as long, output sheet as worksheet, setting sheets as worksheet. Those are our 4 variables. Then we're going to build the filters. Year filters equal build in class, lst year selected, Let's copy paste this. Cat filter, built-in class, lst category selected. Status filter, built-in class, lst status. So this was build filters. And now we're gonna build the SQL where class. So part of the SQL query we're gonna do with our UserForm selection. If year filter is not equal blank, then where class equal where class and year. Date in let's copy paste this. If cat filter not is equal blank, then where class equal where class and category in cat filter. If status filter is not equal blank, then where class equal where class and status. And we need to remove these parentheses also up here. We don't need them in these two lines. In and status filter. Then we have the SQL equal select star from mock underscore data where 1 equal 1 and where class. Then we connect to the SQL server, set con equal create object, connected to Adobe connection con.open provider equal SQL OLADB semicolon data source equal your server name. Obviously you put your server name here, and I'm gonna show you here in this video where you'll find it. Semicolon initial catalog equal mock database semicolon integrated security equal SSPY semicolon and string. We don't need that. And then it's catalog. Then we're gonna set rs equal con dot execute SQL. Output to data sheet is going to be coded here. Set output sheet equal this workbook the sheets data. That's where the data goes from the SQL database. Output sheet dot cells dot clear contents for I equal 0 to rs dot fields dot count -1. Output sheet dot cells 1 comma I plus 1 dot value equal rs dot fields I dot name next I output sheet dot cells 2 comma 1 dot copy from record set rs. Then we're going to do the cleanup. rs dot close con dot close set rs equal nothing set con equal nothing. Set con unload me. That's the user form we're going to close. Output sheet dot activate or select, both is gonna work. Output sheet dot cells dot entire column dot autofill. Output sheet dot range A1 to E1 dot interior dot color equal RAB 0,255,0. So we're just gonna set the first row, the headers, to green. And that's it. Now we just need to test it. You can find your server name here with login to SQL Server Management Studio. It's in this box. I just blurred it out, but this is what you're gonna copy in the code instead of your server name. All right, I ran a quick test in the data inside Microsoft Excel Server, and I realized we don't actually have the year 2025. So of course we shouldn't search for that in our user form. Here's 2024, and let's change it 2025, execute, nothing comes up. So let's test the form but not include 2025. So let's test the user form but don't include year 2025 because there will not come any data. We have no data in the year 2025. Open form. Let's say 2022 to 2024. Add them. Add finance and sales. And look at open and cancelled. Add, import. And here we have it. Quick test here. 2022, 2023, and 2024. We have in finance and sales we have the amounts and all the cancelled and open, just as we put in the SQL query user form. Let's run another test. Let's just pick 2024 and marketing and all the pending. So it seems to be working. 2024, marketing, and all the pending. I hope you liked this video. If you do, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. I really appreciate you took the time and watched the full training. I think this will really help you in your work or in your business to get data into Excel more streamlined and faster. Let me know in the comment section what video you want to see next, and then I will see you in the next video.